Hello, my name is Erick Bennett and welcome to my show, The Pulse of Maine, on MaineWebNews.com. This is where I interview and talk to candidates, elected officials, business and community leaders, and you, to get your message out so people can hear it. I am also a staff member on Paul LePage's campaign for governor, and my role there is new media and social networking strategy. One thing I really enjoy doing is examining the political commercials that air during campaigns and breaking them down and telling you what is true, what isn't, and what I think about them. People must balance their checkbook, so it is not unrealistic to expect a government to have to do the same thing. We all want to be successful, so it only makes sense that we elect an effective executive that has proven that they can be trusted with the taxpayer's business. We're going to be looking at a number of ads today aimed at Paul LePage by his opponent and see if they are true or not. Libby Mitchell is running as a clean election candidate, but her use of tax dollars for her campaign has seemed pretty dirty to some people. The topics that we are going to cover today are going to be education, energy and the environment, healthcare, gay rights, as well as the candidate's real-world experience and their track records in both the public and private sector. I really hope you enjoy this episode of The Pulse of Maine.
And now, Maine Web News.
Libby Mitchell is blowing $1 million of Mainers' tax money as a clean elections candidate, running what is seen by some as a dirty campaign attacking Paul LePage on his positions. Here is a clip where Libby Mitchell claimed that Paul LePage was going to reject $180 million in federal money for education.
For governor, there's a big difference. Paul LePage says he'll reject $180 million in federal funding for our schools.
Libby Mitchell cited MaineWebNews.com as the source for that information based on an interview that Jared LeBlanc had with Governor LePage back in August. The problem is that it's not true, and as such, MaineWebNews.com and the LePage campaign requested that that ad be pulled from the air, and it has been. The truth of the matter is under Paul LePage's leadership, spending in Waterville increased up to 30% per student. Mainers deserve to know the truth, and if Mitchell doesn't know how to be honest with you before she is elected about these vital public policy points, do you think she will be afterwards? A cornerstone of a good education is teaching young minds to be able to think for themselves, and that means to question everything, from these political campaign ads to this very program. According to Mayor Paul LePage's website, he values choice, especially in education. As governor, he will work for a voucher system that allows students and their parents to pick the schools that best meet their needs. Paul will also fight for charter schools so students have an alternative to public education. An article was written in the Bangor Daily News by a Mrs. Joyce Blakely, who is identified in the article as a teacher from Waterville, but she is actually much more than that. She is, in fact, the treasurer of the Maine Education Association and president of the Waterville Teachers Association. What does this have to do with anything, you ask? Well, the teachers union in the state of Maine endorsed Senator Libby Mitchell, and the teachers union is using Mrs. Blakely's position of authority to write articles and send out newsletters to educators, parents, and voters about things that are not even true. Mrs. Blakely said Mayor LePage cut spending in Waterville, and clearly that is not the case. The fact is, the state distributes general purpose aid money for education. The state distributes this money to local schools to help cover the cost for educating the 201,000 students in Maine's 710 public schools. Every single time the budget to education has been cut, who cuts it? John Baldacci and Libby Mitchell. Baldacci and Mitchell cut $38.1 million just this year, and another $35.1 million next year, for a total of $73.2 million cut from our schools in Maine.
I'm running for governor to open the doors. Paul LePage is running for governor to cut funding to education.
The result? Overcrowding, school closings, and the elimination of most sports and music programs.
Mitchell and the teachers union are telling you that Mayor LePage will cut spending when really LePage increased spending, and whenever the cuts get made, they're done by John Baldacci and Libby Mitchell. These are the facts. The cuts this year, for $38.1 million, are a serious problem. The reason they're a problem is because they are coming so late in the year, and even a 4% reduction will force school boards to have to make very tough decisions. Teaching positions are no doubt going to be jeopardized as public schools opt for larger class sizes to cope with the tight finances. Maine has the highest teacher-to-student ratio in the country. Some schools could even begin charging fees for their sports programs. This is how Libby Mitchell thinks government is supposed to operate. Because when you look at her plan and when you listen to her own words, and you have to go to the website because she won't talk about it in her ads, she simply wants to keep doing the same thing over and over and over. And that is where it appears her strategy is to distract viewers from looking at her voting record in Maine government over the last 35 years, because she's going to try to run the clock out on the game. Libby Mitchell says she wants to create jobs, but look at what her belief in how government is supposed to operate does. It causes teachers to lose their jobs. Well, many homeowners will no doubt feel the pinch. A direct result of what Libby Mitchell has done to our schools will cause property tax rebates to sharpen tightly. The Maine Residents Property Tax Program will lower the qualifying income threshold from $60,000 to $36,900 for single people and $49,200 for couples. Why would Mrs. Blakeney and the Teachers Union go through all of this trouble to lie to teaching professionals, parents, and students about this? The reason is because Paul's plan, according to his website, will reform and prioritize spending, so teachers, kids, and classrooms will have the resources for success to compete in the global economy, and this will decrease the amount of money that union bosses, bureaucrats, and Libby Mitchell can get their hands on. This is something that parents, teachers, and kids can celebrate. Now, Paul is also going to require that teachers be accountable for the success of the students in their classroom, just like people are responsible for anything else they do in the real world. If students excel, then the teachers should be rewarded, and that will weed out a few of the bad teachers that do not benefit so many students. Paul will expect more from teachers than just to show up and expect to get paid, but he will expect even more from the students because now they will have the money to pursue their education and their dreams. To learn more about these plans, please visit their websites at lepage2010.com and Libby Mitchell for Governor. If you found this episode of the Pulse of Maine to be entertaining and informative, you can keep the pulse alive. I am an independent new media journalist, and your support and contribution will allow me to investigate and examine the issues that affect us the most to get to the heart of the matter. You can help by check or money order for any amount to contribute to my show. Please send it to Erick Bennett, care of the Pulse of Maine, 560 Cumberland Avenue, Apartment 2, Portland, 04101. Your support will be greatly appreciated and provide me the resources needed to bring the show to you. Thank you so much for your support.